What did Cleopatra look like? Who was she really? And when did she live? The price for this investigation is one like and a rise to the top. Let's begin. The earliest authentic medieval sources mentioning Cleopatra date back to the early 16th century. All the earliest paintings, engravings, and miniatures depicting Cleopatra also belong to the first half of the 16th century. In these medieval artworks, there are no Egyptian motifs, no pharaohs, no sphinxes, and no other Egyptian elements. Why? Because during the Middle Ages, ancient Egypt had not yet been invented. It began to be created in the late 18th century. Here is a miniature from the first half of the 16th century. It depicts Cleopatra with two snakes, possibly the first depiction of Cleopatra in history. There is no Egypt. It's an ordinary medieval image. Cleopatra herself is portrayed as a medieval European lady. Here are a few more paintings, and again, nothing Egyptian. Why is Cleopatra depicted not as an Egyptian queen, but as a medieval lady? Isn't it strange? In fact, it's not strange at all. Artists depicted their contemporary, which is why Cleopatra appears this way in all 16th to 17th century paintings, devoid of Egyptian motifs. So, who hides behind the mask of Cleopatra, or who have historians concealed under this name? This is the mystery we will unravel today. Let's start by finding a woman from the 16th century who resembled Cleopatra and died at the age of 39. This is Lucretia Borgia, the wealthiest Italian noblewoman from the Borgia family, the illegitimate daughter of Pope Alexander VI and his mistress Vannozza de Catane. Now, let's compare their biographies. Cleopatra was the illegitimate daughter of King Ptolemy XII, as she was born to a concubine, but her father secured recognition of all her rights. Cleopatra was fluent in 7 foreign languages, had numerous love affairs, and multiple marriages. In her first marriage, she had many affairs, several miscarriages, and gave birth to an illegitimate daughter. With Caesar, Cleopatra had a son. It was Caesar, according to the official version, who elevated Cleopatra, making her an influential woman of her time. As we know, Julius Caesar was assassinated by conspirators, stabbed in the Senate chamber. Cleopatra's third marriage was to the Roman general Mark Antony, who was significantly older than her. In his absence, Cleopatra governed Egypt. Antony lost several battles, and upon hearing of Cleopatra's false death, he stabbed himself. After learning of this, Cleopatra poisoned herself with snake venom. This scene of Cleopatra's death from a snake bite, alongside her handmaids, has been portrayed by many artists. By the way, the famous scene of Cleopatra's death from a snake bite is a fictional artistic invention based on the legend that Cleopatra loved to poison her lovers. It is said that she even had her own laboratory for making poisons. In reality, the queen, while under arrest, slit her veins and bled to death in her bed. This is indicated by the earliest miniatures of her death. Now let's consider the story of Lucretia Borgia. Like Cleopatra, Lucretia was the illegitimate daughter of Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, the future Pope Alexander VI. The Pope allowed Cardinal Borgia to refer to his illegitimate children as his nieces and nephews. Lucretia, like Cleopatra, was officially recognized and received an excellent education. She was fluent in Spanish, Catalan, Italian, French, Greek, and Latin. The similarities with Cleopatra are striking. Moreover, Lucretia also had numerous love affairs and multiple marriages. In her first marriage, just like Cleopatra, Lucretia had many tumultuous relationships, experienced several miscarriages, and gave birth to an illegitimate daughter. In her second marriage, Lucretia married Duke Bishir and Prince of Salerno Alfonso of Aragon. In this marriage, she had a son named Rodrigo. It was Alfonso who elevated Lucretia and made her an influential woman of her time. He, like Caesar, was killed by conspirators, stabbed with daggers. After the death of her second husband, Lucretia married the Italian general Alfonso d'Este, who was also older than her. In this marriage, Lucretia had 2 children, a boy and a girl. During this time, in her husband's absence, Lucretia proved to be an excellent diplomat and managed her duchy for many years. Her third husband, like Antony, was a poor diplomat and military leader. Unsurprisingly, Ferrara was besieged and nearly fell under the pressure of the papal army, and Lucretia's family truly faced arrest and imprisonment. In a moment of despair, her husband Alfonso even attempted suicide, stabbing himself. However, his servants saved him. At this time, Lucretia was giving birth to another child. Learning of her husband's suicide attempt, the weakened Lucretia suffered a nervous breakdown, could not cope with the childbirth, bled out, and died. According to another version, after giving birth, she poisoned herself with venom from her ring. It was said that her home had a real laboratory of poisons that she used to poison her lovers. So, that's the story. This, of course, is just one version, but no less fascinating than the official one, based on fictional sources from imaginary ancient Greek authors. Which story do you believe? Let's discuss in the comments.